Live now. Yes, we are. Okay, everybody, welcome to our live event, Meet the Artist and His Work. And today it's with Nathan Daughtrey from. I'm trying to pronounce the place you live, but I forget a couple of times. It's in North Carolina, but where are you located again?
I'm in Greensboro, North Carolina.
Greensboro. Yeah,
Yeah,
I forgot about it. I'm sorry.
that's all right. We're right in the middle of the state, right in the middle, right in the center.
Okay, and for the people who are with us, North Carolina is like in on the East Coast,
Yeah,
centered in the U.S.
correct.
So it's like the temperatures are, I guess, like the same like we have, because it can be really cold in winter and warm in summer as well.
Yeah, we do pretty well to get four seasons here that are of generally equal length. We can get pretty humid in the summertime, but our winters aren't too frigid. It'll snow every year or two.
Yeah, once in a year or
Not always, but
not
yeah,
always. Yeah,
yeah,
I think we didn't have snow like 3 or 4 years in a row already.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, but welcome to everybody who's joining us on this live stream on Facebook. And if you're joining us, maybe you can put a short yes in the chat, so you can hear us. That's pretty important for us to let us know you can hear us. So maybe you can put a short yes in the chat as a proof you can hear us, and then we can continue with this event. We actually started off already a little. I don't see any comments in the chat yet. I hope they can hear us, Nathan. Yes, okay, yes, the yeses are coming on. Eric is with us. Marcel is with us. Oh, he's busy. He's checking out the stream later. Jeanette is with us. Okay, thanks for the yeses. Ruben is with us. Nice you're there, Ruben. Okay. Um, I was reading your bio a couple of days ago, Nathan, and I couldn't figure out where did you get your education and where did you go to school. There was no word about it in your bio.
Hmm.
Can you tell us a little bit about your past, the first P?
Um, uh, so are we talking about college, university?
Well, yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's where it starts, college.
Yeah. I mean, yes, that true. I mean, I
I-
really going all the way back. I
Is that
started
on
playing.
purpose that you didn't mention it in your bio, or you just forgot about it?
No, I didn't forget about it. It uh, I guess didn't. There's enough information in there
Yeah, it's a
that
big
I
one.
felt
Yeah.
felt like it didn't completely inform who I am
Okay.
as a musician. But no, I mean it's not an embarrassment or anything.
No, but
So, yeah, so I went to the University of North Carolina at Greensboro,
yeah.
which is here where I live now,
Mm-hmm.
and that was for 3 degrees. So that was for my Bachelor of Music and Music Education. Um, I had plans to be a high school band director and decided not to do that, and went on for my master's in percussion performance, and then continued on for my doctorate in musical arts.
So it actually all happened in North Carolina.
It did. So I studied with Court McLaren, who's the previous owner of Sea Island Publications.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so there was a very strong percussion ensemble program there. Um, and it really had a big influence on my taste in percussion ensemble literature, and the literature that we played. We played a lot of the large percussion orchestra type works, and so that found its way into my writing a lot as I started composing. So yeah, the composing didn't actually start until the first year of my doctorate.
Okay, and that's the reason why you choose this university to go study, or was it just like, oh, it's in North Carolina, that's easy?
Uh, you know, There are a lot of reasons. There are life reasons, there are proximity reasons, there are reasons of just wanting to, of really enjoying the opportunities that I had there. Uh, so yeah, it was a lot of things.
A lot of things, yeah. But sometimes you hear, like here in Europe, people are going from they're coming from all over Europe to study on the, for example, the Conservatory of Amsterdam, because it has just like it has a good name. But are those things happening in the U.S.? Are there a couple of university who have like a good name for music education?
Yeah, I mean, there are places that are good for music education, for performance, for orchestral playing, for solo playing, chamber playing, all of the things. There are different places that I think offer different things. Um, so yes, and I mean, you can name any number of schools that would fall into those categories. There at UNC Greensboro, music education is really first rate. Um, but so is the performance side of things. So
Okay,
yeah,
and every state like has its own school, which is um, a good one for music education, or is it like you can go wherever you want and and be educated well in music?
yeah. I mean, you can go anywhere you want, right? I mean,
Yeah,
I don't think a state is going to prevent you from going. So uh, yeah.
yeah. So if there are any people who are with us and want to ask a question to Nathan, don't um, um, just put it in the chat and I will ask it for him. And don't be afraid, he's not biting. And ask your questions if you want to know something from him. And you already told us something about it just a minute ago. But when did the idea of the composing actually started? Where was there like a teacher who inspired you to become a composer, or was it like you've been listening to music and it inspired you to be a composer? What's the story?
So up to that point, until I really started doing any original composing, I had done some adaptations for marimba from guitar pieces, piano pieces, written by other people, and just making them work on marimba. And I had done some arrangements. I had arranged for marimba quartet. I have a few like Christmas arrangements for marimba quartet that I had done.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but no, it was, as I mentioned, it was the first year of my doctorate. And one of my office mates who was working on his master's in percussion performance said I was thinking about taking, composition lessons, just
Mm-hmm.
secondary composition lessons, which was like a 30-minute lesson once a week. And I was like, well, that
You
sounds
can
like,
do that besides your percussion lessons and other
yep.
lessons as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I just thought that sounded like fun. And so I went into my first lesson with about 16 measures of a solo piano piece written. Piano was my first instrument, did that age 4 through high school. Um, and I went in with it and I said, I think this is okay. I kind of like what I've written.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what to do with it next. How do I transition to something new? How do I generate more material from this? So that's kind of how I used those lessons. And it was also a really good push to get outside my comfort zone. Because like the next thing I was asked to write was by my comp teacher was a piece for solo unaccompanied clarinet,
Oh my
and
gosh.
then I had to write something for this, and that things that were outside of my percussion comfort zone. Um, so yeah, it was a nice start to it all. So I only did that for 2 semesters, but I had been working for the publishing company already at that point, so I had access to all this music that was coming across my desk that I could music that I loved
Mm-hmm.
and appreciated, that I could study very easily because I just had scores coming across my desk. And oh well, I like that idea. How did they make that sound? And I'm doing that with orchestral pieces as well, checking things out from the library and kind of following along with recordings, and just reading as much as I could.
Mm-hmm. And did you started off composing, writing with a hand,
Er,
by hand?
yes,
Yeah,
yes, by hand, yes, yeah,
because I was working around some stuff here in my office lately, and I found some handwritten scores, and then I remembered when I was finished writing the score, I need to I need to write the individual parts as well,
yeah,
again.
yeah.
So so you experience this as well. Okay, I've got a first question from Janette. I guess that's how we pronounce her name. And
Yeah.
are you reading with us, or
Yeah, I have it on my other screen.
you
So
have it on your other screen, so I don't
yeah.
have to ask the question to you?
So
Why is the Yeah?
yeah,
Just go ahead.
why is American writing style mostly based on technique? Um, and why do composers write for so many melodic instruments and not as much percussion? I assume by percussion we mean battery percussion,
Yeah,
drums, and
I think
cymbals
that's
and
what she
such.
means. Yes.
Um, well, it's well.
Is it a
I mean,
hard one?
it's not a hard one, but it's a little reductive to say that all American music is based around technique. Um, I so for me, I can speak for myself.
Yeah,
I can't speak for
of
all
course.
composers or
You
all
need to do
percussion
that.
composers.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so for me, I mentioned I started out as a pianist, and so I that's why I am drawn more to keyboard writing, and harmony and melody, and all of the things that come with writing for melodic instruments. So that's just because of my own experience and my own interests. Um, as far as um, more melodic instruments and less percussion, that's for me. But generally, don't I don't really know why that would be,
let let
or
me
what.
let me explain. I think I know why she's asking this,
Mhm.
because like I just told you before we went live that our in the Netherlands all ensembles are actually community ensembles, and we all have to deal with amateur percussionists who are
Mhm.
uh, doing this for their hobby. And I can imagine if you see some pieces that are published by several American publishers, that for an amateur percussionist that it looked like, oh damn, a lot of notes.
Yeah. Well, okay. So I can speak to that. So I think a lot of it we're talking about, especially larger percussion ensembles.
Mm-hmm.
And when we have large percussion ensembles that are 10, 12, 14, 16, 17, 18 players,
Mm-hmm.
it is very different than the pieces that I see coming out of Europe. Um, and I think the reason for that is the way that those percussion ensembles got started here in the States. I mentioned, my studies, and that we focused a lot on the larger percussion ensemble literature,
Mm-hmm.
and it's this tradition of percussion orchestra literature, which started at the University of Oklahoma with Richard Gibson. Um, so the pieces by like Jacob Remington, uh, and Dave Hall and myself, Firefly, and Prelude to Paradise and
Mm-hmm.
Doors and all those big pieces.
Yeah.
Those are all percussion orchestra style pieces, and it's because of that tradition. It's more of a it's an orchestral section approach, I guess.
Yeah.
So you have the metallic sounds, you have the marimbas, you have the vibraphones, and on down the line, you have this full complement of keyboard instruments. So I think that's a lot of it is just the history of that style of writing, so strong and has continued on. Um,
And I think there's a difference too in education. I'm not sure if it's all right, but correct me if I'm wrong. If you're going to like middle school or the next high school, when you're going to do percussion, you're going to learn mallets, bell kit, and you're going to learn it besides all the other percussion instruments. And when students are coming to me and they want to learn percussion, and they're not interested in melodic percussion or whatsoever, um, they're not going to learn it. And I think that's a difference as well. When a kid starts in middle school at the age of 12, they're getting in touch with melodic percussion if they want it or not. They need to play like a simple bell part in a band concert, and I think that's a difference as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
they,
for sure. For sure. Not only that, but I do a lot of middle schools and even high schools. Percussion ensembles are not traditionally very large here,
mhm.
especially in middle schools. If they even exist at all, percussion ensembles
Yeah,
are going to be fairly small because it's limited to maybe the players that are in
in the
the
band.
concert band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So, we're talking about, 5 to 6 or 7 players. Um, and so that does affect the type of literature as well.
So actually, the middle school percussion ensembles are very small, and it actually starts happening in high school.
Generally, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And again, it depends on the state. It depends
yeah,
on the part of the
I
country.
know. Yeah,
Everything is
yeah.
different around the states. So.
Janet, I hope we answered your question correctly. And if there's someone else who wants to ask a question to Nathan, go ahead. Don't be afraid. He's just a human too. He's only living like 6 hours away from us. Oh no, that's longer, but that's that's just a time difference. Um, and I was just wondering, you're at the moment you're full time composer and CEO of C. Allen Publications. But did you actually teach at the school before you were became full time composer? Because you
Um,
were you were mentioning it short. I was my plan was to become a band director, but
right.
did it actually happen?
The band directing did not
Did
happen.
not.
You know, uh, when you're in your senior year of your undergrad, you have to go out and you're assigned to a school to teach and or to be a student teacher. And yeah, it just I realized fairly quickly that that was not going to be for me.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, but your question is what is
Did
kind of
you actually went teaching not as a band director, but maybe as a percussion specialist in a school or?
well, once I started getting into grad school, I mean, the reason for getting the doctorate, getting the DMA, was to teach at the college level.
Mm-hmm.
So while I was finishing up my doctorate, and for the year or two after finishing my doctorate, I did teach part time at UNC Greensboro, and let's see. I mean, I've taught at several different places. I taught for one semester at the University of Oklahoma
Mm-hmm.
as a replacement for somebody that was on sabbatical. And then I taught for 6 years at High Point University, which is a small private university here in North Carolina.
Oh, okay.
Um, and then last year, I taught as a visiting artist in residence at University of North Carolina School of the Arts, which is also here in North Carolina in Winston-Salem. Um, so yeah, I mean, I've kind of dabbled in teaching, but it's except for the one semester bit at University of Oklahoma, it's all part-time,
Yeah.
and it's all happened in conjunction with everything else in my career.
Yeah. So you still have some time to teach somewhere. Yeah.
Yep.
I was just wondering, you're saying like I had to, beside my master's degree, I had to study more to teach at the college level. So when you have your master degree, you can teach like middle school and high school. So how is this organized?
Well, for middle and high school, you just need a bachelor's degree, an
Bachelor's
undergraduate
degree.
degree.
Mm-hmm.
And then the master's, there are some colleges that you can have your master's and not a doctorate and teach, but that's becoming less and less the case. The majority of colleges and universities, I think, are now requiring that you have a doctorate, unless you have such a strong performance career, that you become an artist teacher, and you might not require the doctorate to do that.
Yeah. So actually, when you want to call it teach at a college or a university, you have to get your doctorate.
Yeah.
And is there any difference then between the level you're teaching on a college or on a university, or is it like the same?
The college and university are just different characterizations of post uh, high school institutions, right? They're just different classifications.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're because like we all know we here in the Netherlands only, and in I think in other countries in Europe also you can study music at a conservatory which is especially for music, and like in when we compare this to other studies, you can compare it with a university study. So that's why I was asking how is the college level compared to the university level.
I mean, here, I mean, it's where you go to study, whether you study at a college or university, I mean, they're pretty much classified the same way. We do have
Okay.
conservatories here as well, so that you would focus specifically and only on music. Um, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. That made some things clear for me as well. I'm trying to figure out the whole system, and I'm getting there, just a little bit more. And I was just wondering because you've been telling me before that you normally go to a coffee house to do some composing in the early mornings. Are you
Yeah.
doing? Is that still the fact, or is that what's an average day of Nathan Daughtrey looks like? You going
Yeah.
up in the morning very early to do a run. That's what you told me before.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so things look a lot different since the middle of March.
Mm-hmm.
My schedule looks a bit different, but so no, there's no going to coffee houses right now. I
No,
mean,
you can't.
there, well, you can.
Yeah.
That here they're generally open, but that is not what I do.
They
um,
just closed all our bars and restaurants last week.
yeah, yeah,
So
um, yeah. So it my day most days start at 5 o'clock in the morning, and that's to get up and run, like you said,
mm-hmm.
and that's to get up and run before my daughter, who is 4.5, wakes up. So yeah, that's it. Just get that in. The composing doesn't really happen right now. Actually, there's not much composing going on right now.
No.
uh, no, I've done a couple of little small projects, but nothing big. I have several commissions on the horizon, that need to get finished. But yeah, the whole thing kind of
Is
interrupted
it like
my
that you're not
flow.
motivated at the moment? You can't get anything out of your hands, or because
Yeah,
that's what I had the first lockdown in May. What was it? April, May.
yeah,
That's it.
yeah, yeah. That's a big part of it for sure. But another aspect of it is running the company, and so I've put in a lot of extra hours at the company. I mean, that I can come downstairs and you know get some more hours of work in without having to drive anywhere, is good and bad, I guess.
Yeah.
But so I've kind of gone all in. I mean, I just took over the company in January, so and things changed pretty dramatically 3 months later. So
Mm-hmm.
um, I had to put a lot of extra time in to make sure that we can survive from day to day and month to month. And um, but yeah, I have written a bit, but the writing happens at night now.
At night.
Um,
Whoa.
yeah, yeah. Well, after my daughter's asleep, so it's a very full day.
Full tight schedule.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I see another question popping up. Oh, one of my friends has a comment for you. Just wanted to say fantastic music from Nathan Daughtrey. You can put it in your pocket.
Yep.
You know Vibrant, who he is?
I do. He was responsible for commissioning Chase and Infinity from me.
He is, yeah. And
Yeah, yeah.
I've been studying together with him, so he's a friend of mine too.
Great.
Okay, and then we have another question from Christoph. How do you advise directors to choose and or adapt ensemble music to their ensemble? Sometimes it's hard to get all parts played or some parts need to be doubled or even extra parts added. Whoa, that's a hard one.
Yeah, it is a hard one. So, I can answer this with two hats on,
Two hats
um,
on.
uh, or I guess provide two or three different answers with different hats on. Because, as a publisher, the first answer is, well, in order to arrange something or adapt it, you need to get permission from the copyright owner. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so I'll take that hat off. Um,
That's smart move.
but, but my composer hat and my arranger hat and my director, I, there are a lot of different things that you can do. Certainly, you can double instruments. There are a lot of ensemble pieces that offer suggestions just in the performance notes for making those adjustments. Um, but outside of that, yes, doubling parts, but making sure that the balance of the ensemble isn't affected. So, if you're doubling the marimba one part, let's say there are three marimba parts, you're doubling or tripling marimba one, that might throw things out of balance with
Mm-hmm.
the lower instruments. I like with keyboard instruments, I like to double from the bottom up.
So
So if you
maybe
have
double the bass marimba part or something like that.
exactly, yeah. So if you have a low marimba part, then that's going to need the most help projecting in
Mm-hmm.
an ensemble, and just kind of working your way up the ensemble. Glockenspiel parts don't typically need much help to speak in the ensemble, right?
I know.
Um,
Yeah.
but at the same
And
time,
that's the fun thing about the difference in culture, because we started off here like in the old days with marching percussion ensembles, and we marched with glockenspiels, and we marched with
right,
xylophones, and then actually always the glockenspiel played the melody.
yeah,
There you
yeah,
go, some differences in culture. But go ahead, because you
right.
were.
Well, and that's I think that's a kind of what you're hitting at is that's a experience thing. It's a historical thing. And so, your ears may hear things differently than my ears hear them based on our experiences. I say kind of fill out from the bottom to the top to make sure that the whole sound spectrum is covered, right? From high to
Mm-hmm.
low or from low to high. Because if we have a lot doubling and tripling up here, then we might be missing a bit here in the middle.
Yeah.
Um, and so it creates this really empty texture. Um, but I mean, I think it's fairly easy to double and triple instruments. You know, I mean, I don't know about like writing new parts,
Me
but I know
neither,
that
but some people just wanted to do it.
right.
Yeah.
Um, but you could take parts, especially keyboard parts. You can take some of the parts and water them down, make them a little bit easier, and play them on like chimes or add crotales if that's a color that you have or an instrument that you have.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I think there are any number of ways to approach that.
Yeah. I hope, Christoph, this was the answer we're looking for. With the did you spoke from the third hat already, or?
Well, I kind of combined because the third hat was as a director
Yeah.
because I've been an ensemble director as well. So, but I kind of combine that with my composing hat.
Yeah, I was just kidding around. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, Christoph, I hope this is the right answer for your question, and thanks. If there's anyone else who wants to ask something to Nathan, go ahead. That's what we're here for. And so, before that, we were talking about your day as a composer. So and now you're even the president of CL and Publications as well. Does that affect on the on your inspiration, or do you have other things on your mind than making a cool composition? It, does it has effect? You need to
Yeah,
organize so much more things than only write some cool notes.
right. And that we're in the middle of a pandemic just adds a different level of complication
Mm-hmm.
to it all, right?
Yeah.
um, but if if we were not in this situation and I was going into the office every day, um, that kind of that confines my day a bit more, because I work from this time to this time,
Mm-hmm.
and before that, it's family time. It is my composition practice, professional time on the outskirts of that. So, but working from home, it all kind of melds together a bit.
Yeah.
um, so there's a lot of multitasking, or at least just switching from task to task um, during the day. There's a lot of that happens. So, but yes, running a company definitely uh, kind of reprioritizes things,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, because it is completely on me to make it
Yeah.
make
Yeah.
things work.
It's a big
Um,
responsibility.
yeah.
And is everybody working at home at the moment, or are there still some people at the office who are dealing with daily jobs?
Yeah, we have one person that goes into the office every day, and that's our order fulfillment
Mm-hmm.
person. So, yeah, but yeah, everybody else is working from home, and I think for the most part, people are thriving in in that atmosphere and being very productive. So, it's definitely affected the way that we communicate with one another, and it's kind of made some of the process of putting music out and editing it and all of those things, we've really made that process a lot more efficient. It goes a lot smoother now.
Okay, so that's the benefit of the situation.
Yeah,
Because
for
I
one.
was
Yeah.
I was talking to one of my students. He's working at a bank, and his director told him, "You'll be probably working from home until January or something." And
Yeah.
actually, everything is going fine. There's no reason to go to the office again. Actually, so and I think a lot of companies are experiencing this at the moment. So it will be affecting the process, but in a positive way. In your case,
Yeah.
no, that's cool. And
Yeah.
I was just wondering, if you are composing, are you working on one project at the time, or are you able to do like I'm writing 5 bars for this commissioned piece, and then 20 bars for this piece? How does it work? Do you need to finish a piece first, and you can start with another one, or?
Um, More or less, yes. But I also find that if I get stuck, creatively, if I get
Mm-hmm.
stuck in one piece, um, just to keep the creative juices flowing, I might just put that aside for a day or 2 days or a week and do something else that I'd been wanting to do, or just something that I'm passionate about. That just like I said, it keeps the creative juices flowing, and it keeps me out of being in a completely a creative rut.
Yeah.
Um, so I used to uh, you know claim there's writer's block and I can't get
Yeah.
anything out, but I found more and more that it's writer's block on specific projects.
Yeah.
And if I can put that aside, right, work on something else, it sometimes just unlocks something in the other piece that I was supposed to be writing. Um, so
Yeah.
yeah, so I do a lot more of kind of working on several things at one time. So the things that I've worked on during the pandemic, uh, there's this low brass percussion duo down in Florida that put out this call for 1 minute miniatures. So just these little
Okay.
60-second pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and, it wasn't a commission. It was just, hey, anybody that wants to send us pieces, we'll
Okay.
do a workshop with you on it and we'll perform it live on Facebook.
Okay,
I'm
that's
like,
cool.
okay. Well, so I wrote really quickly. I wrote 2 or 3 pieces for them, and they played all of them. We, gotten to be friends over Facebook Live,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, so I kind of did that, and I ended up writing 10 miniatures for that.
Okay.
So it ended up being like a full length, full publication. And I
Mm-hmm.
had already written for like euphonium and percussion. I have a duo for euphonium percussion. Um, and so that was kind of a fun thing. And I figured that 60-second pieces, I could swallow that. I could I
Yeah.
could handle 60 seconds of
So
music
so
for a
that's the
duet.
fun thing of the pandemic, the fun side.
Yeah. So I've been working on that. That's done. They're going to be recording all of those. And then I also took a piece. It was originally a duet for alto saxophone and marimba called Burn, and I adapted it for flute, clarinet, and marimba, which is called Burn 3.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a vibraphone marimba version of it. So I created a version for marimba and electronics. And so I've been just kind of playing around with that, just tweaking the accompaniment, trying to get it exactly how I want it, and just about there. I just have some balance things to work out, but that was a way to be creative without completely starting from scratch with something
Mm-hmm.
I'd already written that I could just make into something cool and new.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and 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 what happens if you're asked for a commissioning piece and they say like it needs to be like in what style, in some style, whatever, or they give you some directions, and actually when you are on 1 minute or 2 minute with the piece ahead and you start to hate it.
um,
Does it
okay.
happen?
So you're asking if someone asks for something very specific and I
Yeah.
get into writing it and I don't end up liking what I've written or
Yeah.
what they've asked me to write? Is that
Yeah, maybe
okay?
you did what they asked, but when you're working on it and you start to hate it.
I've never had that happen because if I find myself not liking something that I have to just adapt and figure out how to love it,
Mm-hmm.
uh, how to write something that I do love, because sometimes I am asked to write something for that it's different from the way that I typically operate or the way that I score or instruments that I hadn't written for before.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and so I don't know, I do a lot of work before I even put pen to paper of doing some research to find something that speaks to me on a like emotional level,
Yeah.
right? That's even outside of the music. And so that I know going into writing the actual music that it's going to speak to me. And then at the end of the day, hope that it speaks to the person who's paying for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
I Vibrant has a question. I love all your music. Um, you can write it yourself.
Yeah. Um,
Oh yeah, that's a good question. How important
oh, I
are?
see. Okay. So what you're saying is that we need pieces that have a wide range of difficulty levels in the same piece for different
Yeah.
levels of players, right? Um, so it's not uh, it's not something that we, the publishing company, have put a lot of energy into. Trying to make sure that we address that need. It's not something that I have really done terribly well either. Like, I mean, we can take Chasing Infinity that I wrote,
Yeah.
and none of the parts are just throwaway parts in that, right?
No.
I could have written a metronome part, on a woodblock, but I did not do that. Um,
More woodblock.
right. So, yeah. So I'm not saying it's not valuable. I'm saying that if it's not something that we've put a lot of energy into,
Hmm.
but it's something that we will.
But I think it still has to do something with culture again, because when kids start off in middle school and they choose like percussion, they're all going together in the same level. They're starting at sixth grade and going together to seventh grade, and they all have like the same level. But we have to deal like in an ensemble with a kid, for example, who's like 10 or 12 and has like 2 years, maybe 2 years of education, and then there's something from 35 as well. He who almost played the marimba for 20 years, and
Right.
and those are the big challenges for our percussion directors to have like music in which the small kids can join and the big guys who are experienced can join as well.
Yeah.
And I think that's the reason why he's asking this.
Yeah. No, and I totally understand the need for it. Um, but what we see, when I see things pop up, without having visited you guys out there, which will hopefully happen once all of our borders open back up.
Yeah.
Without having visited, what I see that's shared on Facebook and social media
Mm-hmm.
is usually kind of the best of the best, right?
Yeah. they
Um,
they
so we're
want
not
to they
seeing,
want to share what they've
of,
accomplished,
of
and
course. So what we see is, a really well balanced ensemble of difficulty level.
uh-huh.
That's what's kind of presented, not the day to day of what you experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't see the smaller ones, and I think in the more um, smaller ensembles, more everyday ensembles, the level is much more varied than in ensembles like that.
Yeah.
And those are really motivated people who are going for a goal to win a contest or whatever. So Vibrant says yes, maybe right with Ossia parts.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, um, if there's anyone else who has a question for Nathan, don't be afraid. Ask it in the chat. That's why we're here for. And I was just wondering, does it take a lot of time to come up with a new idea for a composition? Let's say you're getting a commission from a school or an ensemble, and you just told you're doing a lot of research before you write the first note. But
Hmm.
do you when you getting a new commission, you immediately starting to think about it and getting ideas, or does it take a little bit longer?
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends. It's a different answer probably for every single piece that I start. But I can use Firefly as an example. That's a
Mm-hmm.
piece that I wrote for Texas Christian University for their performance at PASIC. So that's for 12 players, and that was for an ensemble that all 12 players can play anything really. So that's a pretty liberating.
So no
Uh,
limitations.
yeah. So as far as the how that one got started, first of all, I had a short period of time to write the piece. I was contacted on July 4th.
Yeah.
And they said they needed it by August 15th.
Whoa.
So yeah, that was a very quick turnaround.
That was
And
the concert date or the start of the
no,
rehearsals?
it was just the start of the semester for them, so they
Okay.
needed to
Yeah.
start working.
Yeah.
The way the way that he operates when he's getting things for PASIC is he kind of throws a pretty big net out there and asks for a lot of pieces.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's no guarantee necessarily that it's going to be played at PASIC until they make their decisions.
Okay.
Um,
Hmm.
so anyway, so it was writing this piece, not knowing what was gonna what was gonna happen with it.
Yeah.
But I knew the title was going to be Firefly, and that was where I started. And so I was kind of doing some research and trying to figure out what I wanted that to be inspiration wise. And so I started out looking at fireflies, the actual bugs and
Mm-hmm.
their lighting patterns and all these things. And it got very scientific, and it wasn't like speaking to me to my core, in a
Okay.
guttural level. So I
Totally
stumbled
out of your
upon the
comfort zone.
yeah. So I stumbled upon this Japanese folk tale that incorporated fireflies into it, and how
Mm-hmm.
fireflies were the uh, souls of warriors that had fallen in battle. Re-embodied, and I just kind of loved that. Was kind of a beautiful idea to me and concept, and this tale gave shape and form to the piece, and it informed the mood, it informed the melodic material and the harmonies and all these things. So all of a sudden this piece kind of wrote itself, once I figured out what I wanted it to be inspired by.
Yeah. And then it became the piece as it is right now.
Right, right.
Walter says hi from Belgium. He's with us.
Hello, Walter.
Walter Mettens. He says hi, Nathan and Dirk-Jan. They have like the same problem in
Yeah.
Belgium to work with the different levels in one group. Leuk dat je erbij bent, Walter. I just told him something in Dutch.
Oh, great.
That's the only Dutch I'm going to do this meeting. Yeah. So that's how it works. Sometimes you're getting inspiration like this, and the other time you need some more time to find out your way to get things done. Um, I think we can say you're like a successful composer. How does it feel to be a successful composer?
um, I mean, it's successful in this kind of little pocket of
Mm-hmm.
the musical world, and
Yeah.
maybe a little bit here. So I think you never really think of yourself as being just as a success, right? Because you kind of see the other areas that you want to have more success.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think it it used to be that my favorite thing to write for was percussion ensemble,
Yeah.
and I've come more to enjoy writing uh, for like chamber combinations. So combinations of not just percussion instruments, but
Yeah.
bringing wind players into the mix and brass players and string players. I just think there are just so many more color possibilities.
And you were writing
Yeah.
for concert band as well.
Yeah, I'm writing for concert band a bit. So I probably write about 3 concert band pieces a year
Yeah.
of different levels. So from middle school through university level. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. We've got some fans going on. Tim, maybe you know Tim. He
Yep.
says, "I love the deep layers and thoughts in Firefly. Bravo and kind regards."
Awesome.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay. So, and um, so that's what I wanted to ask you. Where did you get? Because you were just mentioning that you're writing for other instruments as well. Where,
Mhm.
where did you get the knowledge to write for like violin or euphonium or trumpet?
Uh, from as many sources as I can find,
Because I've like
right?
I've like a little guide here. I don't know
Yeah.
if you can see it.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Essential, and that's
Yeah.
what
So I
that's
mean,
where
I've
I'm.
got I've got book after book,
Yeah,
but a lot of it is from just listening to a wide range of music, um, talking to my friends that play these instruments, and kind of getting them to test things out for me. You learn so. I think that's where you learn so much of it is. You can learn everything you can from the books, but hearing those things come alive with a live player I think that's where the information comes, and a lot of it's just trial and error, right?
Yeah, or just when you know want to know something about a trumpet, write a duet for marimba and trumpet and ask the guy.
Right.
Yeah, that's how it works, isn't
Exactly.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And you've accomplished a lot so far in your life. Um, you're president of CLM Publications now. Are there any more goals? What would you like to receive in when COVID is over?
Yeah. Well, there are things that I want to accomplish with the company, of
Mm-hmm.
course. So I have kind of a list of goals for that, but for my own career outside of the company, I mean, I have a couple of different recording projects that I want to do, a couple of albums that I would like to record. I've never recorded, except for my Christmas album,
Mm-hmm.
that are all arrangements of pieces that I didn't write. I mean, I wrote the arrangements, but not the
Yeah.
original pieces. I've never put out any albums of my own music. And so I have plans to do a chamber album that's I was talking about these like chamber duets and such that I've written,
Mm-hmm.
to do an album with a woodwind quintet that so there would be like a duet with flute, one with oboe, one with clarinet, with horn, with bassoon, and on down the line, right?
Mm-hmm.
So each member of the quintet have a duet or a trio with them. But then I would also write a suite for woodwind quintet and keyboard percussion. That would be kind of the centerpiece of the album. So that's been a goal for, gosh,
For a long
probably,
time already.
yeah, 5, 6, 7 years.
Yeah.
It's been on the list, but I haven't written all the duets yet either. So I still have to write a piece for horn and percussion,
Mm-hmm.
and then write the suite for woodwind quintet. So that's a big one. That's just kind of it's a pet project, right?
Yeah.
It's not something that's going to make me $1 million,
No.
but it's a passion.
It's just
And
for being creative and
it, yeah, it's for being creative, but I think it will also, what I'd like to do with that is to travel around, um, at least starting out traveling around the country, going to universities and doing recitals around this album, but
mm-hmm.
using the faculty members at those universities. So doing a 2 to 3 day long residency, and then kind of this would be the culmination of it.
Yeah, and
So,
you can do workshops and clinics with the other
right,
instrumentalists as well
right.
for the same college.
Yeah. So that's one of the things that's down the line for me eventually. um, and I have to really try hard to get the time in practicing to get my hands in the shape to
Yeah.
do all of those things that I want to do.
I think
Um,
that's a big challenge when we're getting older.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
for me too.
But I have, I have 4 or 5 commissions that are due over the next year, that need to get done. And it's a wide range of things. There's a marimba and electronics piece that I'll be writing, a
Mm-hmm.
duet for horn and marimba, or no, that was horn and vibraphone, actually, and 2 wind ensemble pieces. No, three wind ensemble pieces. So there are things in the immediate future that are coming up pretty quick.
And you never have the idea like you have so many commissions and you're getting like, wow, where do I have to start writing?
I had that moment. So my wife and I just celebrated our 6th wedding anniversary
Woo!
uh, back
Congrats.
in October. Thanks. And so 6 years ago, leading up to our wedding, I had, gosh, just back-to-back commissions that
Mm-hmm.
led directly in, and I finished one up like as soon as we got back from our honeymoon. But they kind of helped pay for the wedding and
Yeah,
pay
of
for the
course.
honeymoon.
They pay the
So
bills.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that was a very stressful thing,
Mm-hmm.
because they were back-to-back things leading up to another stressful thing. But I I've never had the issue that I have, commissions scheduled out, 5 years in advance or anything like that, and that's just fine with
Mm-hmm.
me. Yeah.
Because I was writing a lot of marching band shows and a lot of indoor percussion ensemble shows and back in the days, and I had so much work to do that like for some reasons. Yeah. So I can imagine what it is like to have so much work to do, and it's sometimes it's a little stressy.
Yeah.
It's a little bit stressing out. Okay. And but those are the biggest plans for the future. It's not like that. I want to be. I want to sell C. Allen within in 5 years and then retire and buy a boat and cross the ocean.
No,
No.
no, I would not have uh, I would not have taken over as the owner of the company if I didn't want to, you know, make it better and see it through,
Of course.
as far as I could. It was not a, let me buy this house and put in all new fixtures and then here you go
Uh-huh.
for
Yeah.
$10 million.
Yeah, I understand. If there's anyone else online with us who has a question, don't be afraid to ask it. The chat is still open for a couple of minutes. Um, so go ahead. I've been sending you some of my music. I think it was it only was yesterday.
It
Uh,
was yesterday.
it was yesterday, and if anyone who's online who wants to download, you can take this URL. Did you get a chance to listen to some small pieces of it?
I got to listen to about 10 seconds of about three of the pieces. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Some really cool stuff though.
And what piece did you? Because for these ensemble pieces, I was trying to write more like with for some pieces I was trying to write with the middle school in the back of my head, and so I think this series is more like how a more in the way of a percussion U.S. percussion ensemble tradition.
You mean more balanced difficulty across the ensemble or more keyboard parts, or how do you mean?
Yeah, I'm of course I'm watching um, what you do over the years and what the guys are doing at Tap Space and at Roloff, and I was trying to figure out how you were doing,
Yeah.
and I was trying to write in those styles this time.
Right.
What what
Well, and
what piece
you
did you listen to?
I don't know because I closed my email so it wouldn't be bothering us. And I have closed that window, so I don't remember the names of the tunes.
Yeah.
Uh, but I saw that you got some pieces, or at least one piece, added to the prescribed music list down in Texas.
Yeah, I've got two
Yeah,
pieces
right.
last year. Yeah,
Yeah,
I was
congratulations.
totally amazed about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, but we have a question from Ruben, and it's about have you ever co-written a composition with another composer?
Uh, have I?
He says, in my opinion, you see this very little in classical music, while you see a lot in pop or electronic music.
Hmm.
He says, as an example, Nathan Daughtrey featuring Jacob Remington would be
Right.
fun.
um,
But
yeah,
does
no,
it ever
no,
happen?
I have not. I have arranged something with somebody else, but it wasn't even like it was adapting it. It was just
Mm-hmm.
kind of taking it note for note and making it work for two marimbas.
Yeah,
Uh, but no, I haven't worked in a collaborative way with someone like that.
but it's not happening very often, like he says.
No, but I see your point that that happens in pop music all the time.
Mm-hmm. And then it's
But
just four chords.
right,
So if I make up two chords and you make up two, then we're done
yeah.
for a new
Well,
piece.
so we have something in the catalog. It's a band piece called "All Hail the Power,"
Yeah.
and this is not really an example of that, but there were five composers involved, and so it was taking this hymn tune, um, and each composer did a movement on it,
Oh, okay.
or
Yeah.
kind of a variation on it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so that but that's about the closest. They didn't like merge in any way, cross movements. So
No, they did separate parts. Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, that's it, Ruben.
Sorry,
It's not it's not happening. I'm sorry. We
not yet.
we
I,
can,
I'll call Jake up and say, hey,
hey,
yeah,
can we do something? Yeah. So if there are no further questions, I think we're talking about an hour already. Do you have anything else to do today? You got more hours to work? I'm off for now.
yeah. Phew. This was the goal for my day was to
The
get to this
highlight of
point.
the day.
Um, no, so we pick up my daughter is in preschool,
Yeah.
so we uh, pick her up anywhere between 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock, which is in the next hour to two. And so my wife and I almost always take off work just a little bit early on Fridays and
Mm-hmm.
have what we call a mini date, and just whether it's going for a walk somewhere or whatever before we go pick up the little 4-year-old. So
Just enjoy the pre-weekend.
indeed,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So now, Nathan, thanks for sharing your story with us. Um, what is Ruben says? Haha, yeah. Call him. Oh, you need to call him. You need to call
All right,
Jacob, and Cadenza will perform it.
all right,
His
deal.
his ensemble.
Yeah,
So there you got your new commission.
all right.
Yeah, there you go. But thanks a lot for being with us this hour, and hopefully we'll be able to travel again and
Yes,
see each other somewhere around. Isn't it here, or then it might be in the U.S. or some convention? Um, do you have some last words to say to your fans here in Europe?
no, not other than I do hope to meet some of you in person one day. My wife and I had talked about it that a trip to the Netherlands and Belgium is pretty high on the list once everyone's able to travel
Mm-hmm.
again. So we'll be sure to let you know and set some things up.
We'll organize something.
Yeah.
Okay. For the viewers, thanks for being here with us, and we'll see you next week. I will be here next week again on Friday with let me think about it. Chris Brooks and Chris Crockrell from
Oh,
Ro. Sorry,
I said they don't know.
they know from Roloff Productions, and enjoy your weekend. And um, Vibrant says April. I think he wants to be. He wants to have you here on April. And Walter also says, "Let me know. We'll
Okay,
we'll
well,
we'll organize something."
all right. Sounds
Okay,
great.
everybody who watched, thanks for watching, and thanks for the great questions, and thanks for being with us. I'll hopefully see you next week on the same show with Chris Brooks and Chris Crockerell on the same time. It's on Friday again next week. See you then, and thanks for watching.